lines up on the wheel, on the back pins, like that. A couple things about this. I'm turned outward because I'm demoing, but you will just leave the wheel the way that it is. And let's see, my water is down here so that you can see. So usually my water will be right here. Does that make sense? And then you'll need to turn your wheel on. Oh, it was off. That was funny. Because we cleaned it. So we turn the wheel on, and you want to make sure the wheel's going forward. And you want to make sure it's plugged in, okay? Those are all things you should know. Okay, great. So the first thing I'm going to do is, in the sheet that you have, actually if you flip it to the side with the number 1 on it, we're going to sort of do that very thing. So I invite you to take notes right on that sheet and keep that sheet handy for yourself and actually bring it with you when you come to try to throw so that you have a reference. The first thing I do is probably not actually on there, is just get the bat a little bit wet with my sponge. And then I dry it off. Now I don't dry it off completely, but it's dry enough so that my clay will stick, but not so dry that it slides around. And then the clay is also pretty dry. It's not like sloppy with water. If it's sloppy, it'll do weird stuff. Okay, so I slam it on there. Okay, really on there. First, the next thing I do that's not on there is make sure that it's attached. So I do that just by pushing down lightly with my hand, or not lightly, depending. This clay is pretty hard. Last stuff I threw with is pretty soft, so it'll be kind of a different demo in a way. The same.
What kind of clay is this?
This is the recycled clay that I'm using. It's just what I have. But again, I recommend if you are a beginning or intermediate thrower that you throw with the non-recycled, the new clay. Okay, so once I slam it on here, what's the next thing I'm supposed to do?
Cone it.
Cone it. Okay. Another word for coning is wedging on the wheel. So we just wedged on the table, now we're going to wedge on the wheel. Wedging on the wheel is an excellent practice because it centers the clay pretty much for you, so that centering is actually not that big a deal. A lot of you have thrown before, but I'm going to show, for people who haven't, the best way I feel like to cone for a very beginner is to only use your left hand. And what I'm doing is pushing, I got my elbow and the crook between my leg and my body. So it's very, like this is very connected, right? I can move my body up and down, and this goes forward and backward, but it doesn't really go in and out because my hand is really connected. Does that make sense? If I have it out here, then my elbow can move a lot more. So anchoring it to your body is key. And then you push forward. This clay is harder, so I'm actually supporting it with my other hand, or my other fingers on the outside. If this clay is soft, you don't really have to do that. Or you do, but it's less, because you don't have to push so hard. And then pushing with my body. So I am a rather substantial person. This clay is like 1.5 pounds with a wheel attached to it. Okay, so I am actually very large compared to this small thing. And I have a lot of strength just in my body itself. Just in the weight of my body, not just my arm strength, because it doesn't actually matter. You don't have to be strong to throw, okay? And it doesn't even really help. A lot of times strength, sometimes people rely on it a lot, and then they try to throw something bigger and they can't do anything because they've been muscling it the whole time. They can't actually muscle more clay, okay? All right, so the next thing I want to do is bring it down. So I'm going to use this pad of my hand to bring it down. I'm going to use my right hand on top just because this clay is hard. I'm staying just a little bit on that side of the center. I'm using water whenever my hand starts to feel like it's sticking at all. And then I also like to clean up my water so I don't fill the splash pan. Okay, I'm going to bring it back up again. So I start at the bottom and then move to the top. And then bring it down. For a really hard piece of clay, sometimes I'll hold my sponge with water and then just kind of squeeze it on top of my hand. I'm going to show you one other way to bring the clay up. So the other way is to use both hands. Now, I do not recommend this for a beginner because many times, I have walked over to help somebody cone who just feels like they cannot cone. And then I get there and we look at how they're doing it, and they're doing it with two hands and they're pulling it off and squeezing it too tight and all these things. And then I take one of their hands away and say, okay, you can't throw it with your right, you have to put it behind your back. And then all of a sudden they can cone. First time, no problem. And my thinking around it is that our right hand is, a lot of us are right-handed, our thought process with our right hand is super linear and like hard and forceful. And our left hand is more like, okay, I'm just gonna try, and I'm gonna feel it, right? And our left hand is like more sensitive, actually. And so the left hand is able to be more, and it's the other thing about it is that the wheel is going, because of the direction of the wheel, it's going into my hand the sort of the way that it needs to in order for this process to work. Does that make sense? Yes? Question?
If you're left-handed, when you say use your right?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you're left-handed, use your left still.
Cool.
Okay. Once I get, so I went up and down how many times? 3. Good. Once I get that, then it's already pretty close to center. See, it's how my hands just move a little. Okay? So once I get it there, and really if your clay is soft enough, it'll be centered, very, very close to center. I'm just gonna center. You hear that clicking? That's just the bat moving. It has a little bit of wiggle room around the bat pins. So it's not that I'm off center or anything like that. It's just because I'm pushing kind of hard. That's it. Okay?
Did they all make that sound?
All of them make that.